And at long last, the fools shall know their true purpose. That she would feast upon their souls!
I am physically struggling to put into words what I have just witnessed in New World. I started playing this game a couple of weeks ago. I just wanted to pick up something new, something that I really hadn't touched before. I've always heard about New World, but mainly sort of negative things, so I just wanted to jump into it for like my raw experience. For the most part, I've just been going about the world, questing, just doing the day-to-day stuff, leveling up, leveling trade skills, so on and so forth. And then eventually, when I got to a level high enough, I unlocked expeditions. And as much as I appreciated the visuals of the world of New World anyway, it wasn't until I got into expeditions where you can really see the development team, the sort of world building team, take those next steps. And whilst there are some really, really impressive expeditions early on, it's not until I hit level 60 that I have just had the moment of all moments when playing this game. Like, dude, I have just been sat here with my mouth wide open for about 20 to 30 minutes whilst in this dungeon. I don't even know actually what this is. I mean, it felt like a raid. It was just going on and on and on, but my god, what in the Elden Ring, Soulsborne, Bloodborne, New World fuck have I just witnessed? Because this dungeon is absolutely mind-blowing. If you are a Souls enjoyer, if you like the likes of Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Elden Ring, then my god, the inspiration has to have come from those subset of games because it is stunning, dude. I'm going to be real with you guys. I have been impressed with New World a lot, but this is the first moment where I've actually sat back and gone, wow, dude, like actually, this is unbelievably impressive. I mean, I've done a lot of dungeons, a lot of raids in a lot of games. I played World of Warcraft for years, Final Fantasy XIV, Lord of the Rings Online, EverQuest, Ultima Online, the list goes on. But not once in all that time have I had the feeling that I have just felt playing New World. And I don't know whether it's a composition of the graphics, the music, the dungeon design in general. And honestly, I don't know what the developers were on when they were making this particular instance, but whatever they were doing or whatever they were taking, they were absolutely cooking because this is incredible. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times that I turned off the UI and was just trying to walk around and absorb this dungeon whilst also trying to keep up with my teammates because they'd obviously done it before. And I know this is a sort of feeling that you can only get once, right? You can only enter the dungeon once and experience these things for the first time. But that initial feeling, especially with this particular instance, just hits so hard. I don't know what it is about this instance, but it just hits different.
Above all in power.
As much as the enemies are cool in this and the immediate background is cool, what I need to just give credit to is the skybox and the kind of further background, because there are so many moments when you're walking over the rolling hills, the cliff faces, and you can just see this crimson red cathedral in the background, like crazy, like organ music going on, like something straight out of a Bloodborne fight. And I'm like trying to focus on helping my party through this quest or through this dungeon, but I'm just so immersed, dude. I'm like, please just let me just stand and just take all of this stuff in. Then you go into the cathedral and you can see like the crimson light coming through the windows, the big glass stained windows. There's blood everywhere. There's tentacles. There's corruption. There's bosses. There's this woman that you fight that I can only compare to like Melania, I think, from Elden Ring. She like sprouts these demonic wings and flies down and fucks up your shit, and it's just next level, man. Oh my god.
That she would feast upon their souls!
If I'm being totally honest, before I went into this dungeon, New World for me was getting to a point where I was still enjoying it, but I was kind of going through the motions to level cap. And this dungeon, this raid, whatever this is, has really just revitalized that experience. And I know I can only run this a couple of times before it inevitably gets boring. Like, for example, the first dungeon I'm sick to the back teeth of now. I've run it so many times. But this is just an experience, dude. From the portals that you go through to the fucking pools, the wells of blood that are on the ceiling. Just the overall atmosphere really ticks every box that I'm looking for in an aesthetic of an MMO. I'm not sure if this particular instance is like exclusive to level 60 and onwards, but I feel like this is the developers kind of giving people a bit of a taste of what's to come, because honestly, if the raids and the group content are anything similar to this going forward, then my god, my opinion of New World has shifted drastically. I know there's a lot of negative opinions. I know the end game is a bit of a grind and a bit of a burnout, and people say it's lackluster, but I promise you now, from a new player's perspective, someone that's put 50 to 60 hours into the game so far, New World has basically surprised me every single step of the way. I think the biggest accolade that New World has got when it comes to instances like this is the fact that the game looks visually really, really good. I know I've commented on the character creation being a bit lackluster and the cosmetics, but the world building, the textures, everything from the rays of light look really, really believable and really immersive. Like, I've played through some really, really cool dungeons in the likes of Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, but because it doesn't look believable, it doesn't look immersive and realistic to a certain extent, which I know is subjective, it really just falls off for me a little bit, whereas this absolutely sucked me in. Like I said, from the moment that I spawned into this dungeon, I instantly thought Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Demon Souls. I feel like there's some real inspiration here, and to be honest, outside of this video, I'm actually going to go and Google the backstory of this dungeon, because I do find the story building in New World, like the main story, is fairly linear to follow, but because you're in and out of different dungeons, different areas, instances, it can get a little bit convoluted. I do feel like as well, a lot of the dungeons leading up to this point don't really have that many like mechanics. There's a few like gimmicks with puzzles, but a lot of the bosses are just kind of tank and spank, whereas in this particular instance, quite a few of the fights have different mechanics. You might just be moving out of the way of like simple AoEs and trying to weave that into doing damage with the bosses. There are also certain pylons you can interact with in certain boss fights, I guess, to try and negate some damage or so on and so forth. But what really impressed me above all else is the multi-stage fight that you have with like the dungeon's main boss, which is Isabella. I think from what I can remember, you fight her on like 3 separate occasions, each time getting harder and harder and harder, and you know that it's building up to something cool. And then when she stands right behind me, right here in front of this portal, raises herself into the air, sprouts these wings, and like slams down into the ground, you're just like, dude, it is going off. I guess the sum of this video is I just want things to continue this way, and that doesn't just mean the content in the game, that could be content being put in at a later date. I just think this was really, really cool. As always, as I play through these games and start to enjoy them, dislike them, so on and so forth, I will document them here on YouTube for you guys to either vibe with, dislike, comment, whatever you want to do. But as always, these are just some thoughts. So with that said, I'm out.
No mercy.
Binayi Dabwang Geoba Ga Mati Ema Nego Day.
And at long last, the fools shall know their true purpose. That she would feast upon their souls!